The longer you try to make other people like you, the less you're gonna start liking yourself. You have to understand that no matter how many times you're gonna step over your boundaries, and no matter how many times you're gonna let people walk all over you, that is not gonna make them like you better or treat you better or have respect and understanding and compassion for you. Because if you have a need and you feel like you need to be less than who you are, or you have to change yourself or hide parts of yourself to be with this specific person, then there's 100% chance that they don't actually like you for you. Because if they did, they wouldn't make you feel like you have to do any of this. I remember when I was 14 years old, my whole people pleasing issues started with me trying to please my mother, because she never accepted me the way I was, because she thought I was way too feminine, way too emotional, way too sensitive. So she was trying to teach me to hide those parts of me, which was very toxic and actually mentally abusive, because I ended up just hating myself and shutting down. And right now I'm talking on the camera. Back maybe 2 years ago, I wouldn't even let people take a video of me talking, because I hated my voice and the way I say things, especially in English, because that is not my first language, right? So I would always shut down parts of myself every time I wanted to say something or be creative or just communicate my basic needs and expectations. And I would shut that part down, because I always felt like, oh no, I'm just too emotional, I'm too dramatic, my point is not valid, because my mom used to say that I'm too young and I'm too stupid and I can't have my own opinions, so I just should keep my mouth shut unless I have something smart to say. But how would you even know what is smart to say and what is not when you're 14 years old, right? And I think a lot of us go through this process when we're younger, and then we carry it on in our life, into our relationships, friendships, careers. And trying to build a business as a woman is not easy. And if you don't know how to communicate your needs, your wants, and your expectations, you are going to fail 100%. And if you are not confident enough in what you say and who you are and what you want in life, and you don't think that all of that is actually valid and important, then you will fail in every single aspect of your life, from relationship to work to friendship to motherhood to anything you step into. When we grow up in families like that, we try to mold ourselves to be the version of who they want us to be like. And then we do it later in the future with other people. But the thing is that when you keep doing that, you eventually start losing yourself and not trusting yourself. So every time you come up with a great business plan or a decision that you want to make in life, you're going to start questioning it, and you're never going to feel sure. And when you don't feel sure about the decisions that you make in your life, you are going to fail at it, because it needs confidence to execute. And the same in relationships. So we start attracting people that can sense that and that know how to be around people like that, and call them abusers, call them whatever you wanted to call. But the point is, they might never even realize that they're doing it, because it's automatic to them, because probably they grew up in a family where they had a position of putting other siblings down, or not being genuine with their parents, or they're just insecure from their own trauma. So in new relationships, they're looking for a person who is just gonna suck it up and mold themselves to be the person that they want to see. But at the end of the day, those people also never end up satisfied in their relationship, because usually that's not really what they want, that's their trauma response. So they keep dating people that kind of satisfy their trauma, but doesn't really satisfy their actual needs and wants and what actually make them happy. So they're going in a toxic loop. You're going in a toxic loop because you continue to try and be someone who you're not, and you're not confident in any decisions, you are not confident in who you are, you don't have a mission in life, and you feel lost, and eventually those relationships are going to fail. So right now I want to talk to my people-pleasing girls that were shut down as children and never communicate their needs and wants and feel really insecure in their relationships, because there is a million of us, but it doesn't mean that this is who we always going to be and that there's no change towards anything better, because it's really not. It's just a mentality shift, and you just have to start doing scary things. This is one of those cases where you really have to start stepping into uncomfortable, and it's gonna feel terrifying. You're probably gonna have panic, anxiety attacks, whatever, every single time you're gonna open your mouth or try to say what you actually want instead of saying something that they're expecting you to say. So I just want you to have that expectation that if you do want to change that and stop being in the relationships that just do not fulfill you and don't feel right, but you're staying there just because you think you deserve better, or you're not gonna find better because you don't believe you can, you have to really understand that it's gonna be a hard road, and it's going to be a lonely road, because people don't usually understand people like that. And when you start going through those changes, everyone around you is going to be in shock. They all going to be like, what is wrong with you? You became so selfish, you became so mean, you're so isolated, you don't want to spend time with us, because they are so used to this doormat of you who will bend backwards and forward for those people. And when you're gonna start asserting your boundaries and saying no to certain things, they're gonna think that you are being mean to them, that you are offending them, or that you don't like them anymore. But usually also the same people are not the ones that you want to have in your life long term. And cutting those people off is going to become natural, and sometimes at first it feels like, oh my god, I would never be able to do that. But when you start putting in the work and actually changing your whole mindset, at one point it's gonna feel so normal that you're not even gonna care that they're not gonna be in your life. You're actually gonna get mad, because you're like, why am I wasting my energy onto those people that don't even bring anything good into my life, and the only thing they're doing here is using me. And people pleasers are usually have a huge, beautiful heart, and they're meant to give into this world and do something to help others, to bring others on the right path. But that requires a lot of work, and sometimes it takes a lot of time and energy, and you have to go through this very lonely road. But that is okay, because as soon as you become comfortable with being lonely, you are not scared to be alone. And when you're not scared to be alone, that means you're not gonna settle for people who are not bringing happiness into your life and who are not actually fulfilling your soul and the path that you're going onto. The first step actually starts with figuring out the fact that you hate the way your life is. And really stop being delusional. You have to sit down and realize that I hate my life. I hate my life because I don't live my life for me, because I have 50, 60 years left, and am I going to waste them again on people who never gonna pay back, who never gonna reciprocate my energy? And when you start asking those questions, you start getting answers of, oh my God, what have I been doing with my life? Why have I been acting this way? And all those things where you feel pressure to be someone else, or say things that you don't want to say, or act or live the life you don't want to live, it's gonna become so stupid, and you're gonna feel so angry, because you're gonna realize that you have all this beautiful potential and time in the day that you're literally wasting on other people, and you're not actually benefiting them in a good way either, because you're just feeding their trauma. So there's really no good in any of it, and by the end of the day it's just pointless. So you trying to actually live the life of your dreams and following your boundaries and establishing them with other people is good for everyone, even though it may not seem like that. at the day when you decide to do that, or even a week or a month later. But it's all a process and it takes time. And the thing is that all the people around you that you feel like you need to give so much to and you have to bend backwards for are the ones who do not benefit you in any shape or form, and they just like little energy vampires that keep eating at your goodness and satisfying their own ego, which is not good for them either. So the whole process is pointless. So when you figure that part out and decide that you've been wasting years of your life on things that do not matter, you're gonna want to move forward and search for what actually makes you happy and what do you want to have in your life. And that is not an easy process either. There is a bunch of things that you can do that, but it's actually very personal. And sometimes all it takes is just to sit down, shut your brain down, and just think. Because most of us don't even notice it, but every single day we do things that other people tell us to do. If, for example, you decide to have a dinner, you may ask your partner, what should you have for dinner? And that seems so small and simple, but it's actually codependence, and you're basing every single small decision in your life on the decision of that person. Therefore, you have no opinion or stand of your own. And just starting switching things like this, what you're gonna have for dinner, what are you gonna wear, what type of lipstick or hair color you want to have, or are you actually happy in your career, or are you doing it because your mom told you that you need to be a lawyer or a doctor, or because your dad said that you have to pay your bills so you can't go and pursue something that you actually want because now you have all these limiting beliefs of being financially insecure and never financially stable. That's a huge part too, because most of the time as people pleasers, we base every single decision on people around us, and usually on people who are the biggest abusers of our life and the ones who traumatized us the most, because there's this fucked up trauma response trust, and we think that if they are satisfied with what you're doing, then you are safe, but you're actually not. You're just very codependent, and as I said, you have no stand in your life. So you have to start figuring out, what do you want to do in life? What makes you happy? And not in a materialistic way where it's like, oh, I want to have Louis Vuitton bag, whatever, or like a huge penthouse. That's great. Those are valid goals. We live in material, and that's totally normal. But usually all those things come after you have that abundance in your soul and you actually know your spiritual mission, which I talk a lot about in my videos. And there's a reason for that, because everything that comes and goes in your life is based on your spiritual mission, and unless you know that, it's very hard to navigate to make big or small decisions. And basically when you have a spiritual mission, it could be anything, like giving back to people, charity, or maybe teaching or guiding someone, or creating a business in hospitality where you love serving people and making them smile and making them happy, or you create art that fulfills other people's soul, or music, or anything like that. It really doesn't have to be artistic. It's just something that's gonna feel good in your heart when you do it and bring the longer happiness, not the temporary one. It's not like when you order something from Amazon and it comes next day and you're happy for 2 seconds when you open the box, but then it goes away and you totally forget about that. No, it needs to be something like when you lay in bed and you think, what actually fulfills my soul? You should think about the moment when you were like, wow, that made me to be so proud of myself. That made me feel so good. It was hard probably to do that, but when I did that, I felt so fulfilled and I want to do it again. And also sometimes it's those exact things that when you feel you're most down, you're most depressed, and you do this thing for other people, you start feeling better, you start feeling happier. So start tapping into that and asking yourself those questions, trying to bring back those memories, because no matter how many decisions you made based on other people's opinions and how much of yourself you sacrificed for others, there were always times where you truly felt fulfilled and excited and very indulged in that experience. And those are the things that are gonna make you happy. So those are the things that you need to start looking into and base your life decisions on. Deciding to maybe switch your career into the path that aligns more with that. And I know it's not easy, because if you're earning $2,000 a month and you have to pay your rent and you have to pay your bills, and some of us have kids and dogs and whatever, I know you can't just go and drop your job and just be like, okay, I'm on a spiritual journey now. I decided to be happy and say no to anything that doesn't align with me. I know that doesn't happen that way. But the thing is that you need to create a plan for yourself. Because if you do not want to depend on other people any longer, and you want to make your own decisions, and you want to have responsibility over your life and actually create something, the life that you want to live, and not having to deal with all these toxic people and settle for less than what you deserve and literally be a doormat, then you have to need to create a game plan. And a game plan could be setting aside some money a month, starting a little hobby, record TikToks, post on social media, start talking about things that bother you. Literally, the easiest thing for me to post is something that bothers me, because we all love to complain, but also it speaks to other people, and other people feel seen. They feel like they can relate to you, and that's when they want to engage with you. And right now, honestly, if you still feel cringe about posting on social media, please get over yourself, because everything is social media now. And at the end of the day, everyone's gonna die, nobody cares. And I know you can use this as an excuse for doing a lot of bad things, but we're talking about good, pure intentions. And we're talking about not caring about what other people think. And most of the time, the people that you're scared of having opinions about you the most are the people who actually don't achieve anything in life. They're not successful, they don't live their dream life. All they do is judge you and say terrible things about other people, but in reality, they're actually miserable. So why would you want to care about someone like that? Why would you let their opinion affect you? If they're not bringing anything good into this world, if they're not treating you right, if you have no compassion or understanding between each other, then why would you let them affect you? If it was a partner who adored and loved you and uplifted you, he would never say no to you doing something like that. And he would never put you down for that. So obviously, I know for some of you it's hard to hear, which was the same thing for me a couple of years ago, but just forget about them. They're not gonna serve you, they're not gonna help you. If you want to do things that you want to do in life and live true to yourself and stop depending on them, you have to stop listening to them, and eventually they're gonna leave your life because they can't eat at you anymore. They're feeding on your insecure energy. They're feeding on the fact that you can't decide for yourself. They're feeding on the fact that their judgment affects you, and that's why they're gonna keep doing it. So the more people gonna say no to them and assert their boundaries to them, the less power they're going to have in our society. And that is the only way to bring more good into this world and to shut down those people. And usually those people are not even like real people, they're literally bots, because they're so spiritually blocked and away from the truth that they just exist in this body and a big ball of negative energy. They do not matter, and they're not gonna be the ones who are gonna change the world. But you can, by relating to other people, by speaking your truth, by going and putting yourself out there, because judgment is always gonna be there no matter what you do. You can have blonde hair, someone will tell you black one will look better on you. You're gonna have black hair, someone will tell you blonde hair looks better on you. It does not matter. A lot of people also think you can't have it all. It's a huge limiting belief, and just because they think they can't, so they expect you not to have that as well. So that's your little call to go and prove them wrong, because you can. All you literally have to do is start doing things like posting on social media, choosing different career, trying to figure out what makes you happy. and actually doing those things, not just sitting there and journaling over and over and over again. I used to be in the situation where for 3 months, every single night, I would journal about the life that I want to have, and I would make a plan and write everything down that I have to do. So I literally knew every single step I have to do every single day, but I still wouldn't do it. So obviously nothing changed in my life. Journaling about something is not gonna make things happen. You need to put the actions, and that's when in the beginning of the video I was telling you, this is when you're gonna have to step into uncomfortable. This is where you're gonna have to start doing scary things. And when you figure out that thing that makes you happy, then you make a plan of your actions. Maybe set aside some money into savings instead of spending that money on something else, right? You can use that money to invest into yourself. For example, buying a better camera, investing in a course, buying books that's gonna make you more educated on topics where you wanna put yourself into, right? For example, you figure out that making art is something that makes you more fulfilled and you want it to be your full-time career at one point in your life, but right now you don't really have money or time for it. So what you can do, you can start putting aside a little bit of money so you can invest it into, for example, art classes or social media ads or content creation or anything like that, or maybe even making yourself look a little better, investing in gym membership so you feel happier and more powerful. Because going to the gym for a girl, I don't care what you do there, just going there and doing some sort of workout, stretching, moving our body, moving our energy around, that gives you so much more confidence and it makes you go and carry yourself through the day so much better. So set a little money aside every single month or every single paycheck and just invest those money in your dream, for materials, for content creation, for advertisement, for marketing, to learn a new skill, to go on a class, to do networking events. If you live in a big city, there's so many networking events that usually cost so little. They cost $25 a month. Go there and meet people in similar industries, people who have similar goals, and you can just start talking to them. And you don't have to go to every single person and be like, hi, oh my God, I'm Anna. I know you feel insecure. I know you feel scared. I am the biggest antisocial person you will ever meet, but I do not want to identify myself as one. Sometimes it's gonna take you going to those events and just standing and observing people and trying to learn how they behave. I was never in big groups. I never participated in teamwork or anything. For me, it's a disaster. So at first, to actually start and communicate with people, I had to go on a couple events like that and just stand in the corner and see what other people do. From their hand gestures to the way they talk, the way they interact, the things they say. And then I would literally take that, memorize it, come home, and I would practice it next to the mirror. And I would say it as many times as it takes for me to already be sick of it. And it's just automatic, it's on autopilot. And the more you practice it, it's gonna become a skill. And the more skills you have, the better you're gonna be at anything you do. And right now, everything is communication, everything is marketing, everything is sales. So skill of being around people and being social and knowing how to mingle and knowing how to business flirt is very important for you. So if you want to get out of that little hole of you not having any connections, start putting yourself out there. If you're a girl in a new city, go out with promoters. I'm not talking about going out with assholes, getting drunk and sleeping around. No, but there's so many girl dinners. You don't even have to go to the club. That's not the whole point. You can use it in your advantage. You can use bad things and turn them into something good, because most of the time promoters throw those. I used to be a club promoter, right? So I would throw those dinners and I saw so many girls and I thought it was so smart. They would come from different countries. They would have no friends. They would have no connections. They just started speaking English. So they're trying to figure out how people communicate here, who you need to know to get in the doors. So they would go on those dinners and they would meet 25 other girls and they would just start talking to them and start making connections. And afterwards, they would start hanging out outside. And those other girls start inviting them to other places, meet other people. And that's how you start meeting and building your circle. But you have to be very cautious about this because there's a lot of bad people. So you really need to be certain that you have your boundaries and where you're going there for. Also, when growing up in toxic environment, a lot of times we get told, oh, other people have it worse, suck it up. No, you have to start telling yourself that other people have it better and you can have it better too. That there are better possibilities, better choices, that you have a choice to live a better life and you don't have to settle for less just because someone else has it worse. There's always gonna be worse and better, and you choose which side you want to be at. So every time someone tells you that, do not listen to it, because that is not going to bring any good for you. You need to understand that there are people that come from nowhere, literally villages at the end, third world country. They come into big cities like New York or Los Angeles or Miami, like anywhere, and they make an actual idol of themselves. They become people who other, like millions of people look up to them. Why? They didn't have any advantages, because you have to look outside the box. If you're gonna sit at home and think that this person, that who you are with, is the best thing you can ever have, even though he treats you like shit and you've been a doormat for years for him, no. You need to understand that no matter how many people you're gonna lose, no matter how long you're gonna be single or alone and have no friends, it doesn't mean that there is no better, because you create better. Literally start looking outside and think, what is something I can do today to get better at whatever skill that I have? Maybe it's finding a free course online. Maybe it's jumping on someone else's live and just start talking and just practicing how to talk to people and how to overcome that social anxiety. Maybe it's posting a couple of videos of you where you don't feel comfortable talking on the camera or showing your face, or you don't feel really like good about the way you look, but you still do it. So you like start your brain that this is okay. Yes, it feels like a dangerous territory, but we're gonna step into it and we're not going to die. Like, we succeed there no matter what. And you have to tell your brain that there's no going back. We are only going forward. And yes, it's gonna be scary and uncomfortable, but we're gonna do it unless it's not. So why am I talking about building all those skills and stepping into uncomfortable? The reason is, the more confidence you gain from doing things that you don't like doing, that you are not used to doing, the more you're gonna be strong about your boundaries with other people, because your brain is going to be like, okay, we do all of this. We know how to do all of this. We have so much value. We know what we're bringing into the table. So why are we going to settle for a person who doesn't even appreciate that? Like, it might sound like, no, not, because we're so used to like bending other people. But the more skill you're going to develop, the stronger your mindset becomes. And then the higher and more confidently you're going to carry yourself in a room, because eventually you're going to start feeling comfortable having small talk. Eventually you're gonna start feeling comfortable communicating to other people. So when someone gonna start trying to shut you down or change your opinion, you're actually gonna become argumentative, and you're gonna stand tall on the point that you're trying to deliver across, because you already know, you've been there, you had experience with that, you already overcame that insecurity. So there's just no one who can tell you otherwise. So you bring that energy with you, and when other people feel it, they're like, oh, she has a strong personality, she has a charisma, she knows what she's doing and she knows where she's going. So I'm not gonna be sitting here and trying to change her mind, because it's just a waste of my time. I'm gonna go move on to the next person at who I can eat on their energy and feed on their insecurity. So you're gonna start like automatically push people aside that are toxic for you, and that's the whole point of this. And the last point I'm going to bring is that if you never been in the relationship where someone was treating you better, or your family never like really about your birthdays or getting you gifts or like doing nice for you. Like it have to be something fancy, just something that makes you smile, whatever. You have to start doing it on a regular basis for yourself. It can be like really small, like if you're enjoying nature and like walk in the park, like it's my favorite season of the year, and it makes me so happy to put some Sinatra in headphones, get my little coffee, and go in the park and just stare at the water. Like it literally, I feel so much more recharged. I feel like my brain calms down, my body feels good. I'm also like kind of alive and imagining like I'm in a little New York City movie from the 90s. You have to start doing things that make you smile so you get used to that kind of treatment. So when other people give you the bare minimum, you're like, no, I can do better because I'm already doing better for myself. So I'm not expecting anything from you, but I'm also not gonna settle for the bare minimum. So the more you do that, the more comfortable you're gonna become with receiving good treatment, and then it's just gonna become something so normal to you that, again, people who cannot give and provide that for you, they're just gonna disappear and go on to the next person who can they manipulate and be toxic to. So literally there are so many opportunities, especially as a girl. We have so many privileges and there's nothing wrong with using it. You have to stop thinking that you need to be small and closed off and live in this little circle, because actually it's not going to benefit you or people around you. All you need to do is start looking at possibilities. Everything, look for benefit in everything. Benefit to fulfill your soul, benefit to make you feel better, benefit to benefit other people. And stop trying to tell yourself that, oh no, I can't do that, that is too much. No, there's nothing that is too much. What we think too much usually is too little to actually get to dreams, but we get used to this mentality that we have to stay small and we have to behave good and good girl to be happy, but it's not true. You have to be the baddest if you actually want your dreams start coming true. So don't be scared to put yourself out there. Don't be scared to step into uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is. There's so many opportunities right now for you on social media to learn skills, to put out there, to find out what actually makes you happy, and you don't have to be stuck to that city, that person, that family, those relationships. Really don't. You have a choice. You can choose every single day to be a different version of yourself, but you really want it, because if you're not hungry enough, you're not gonna do enough, and you're gonna stay in this scared, victimized mindset, and as women we don't get far with it.